Okay, so what I'm about to say, to give some context, I just want to put it out there that I'm a former officer in the United States Air Force, and I grew up around a lot of these "we must protect ourselves against the tyranny of the government" types. And growing up in the '90s, I heard a lot of this. Before 9/11, people had a different attitudes towards the government, I think. Conspiratorial, they're coming after us, they're trying to take our guns, blah, blah, blah. Now you have the people who are the far right and you have the people who are the far left. And you have far right anarchism and you have far left anarchism. There is no horseshoe theory here. They're just people who don't trust the government, right? But let's not get into any horseshoe theory stuff. But move away from those edges, at least in the far right. And you have these people they're still far right. And they still say that they must protect themselves from the tyranny of the government. But here is where the contradiction and maybe even hypocrisy comes in. Because these same people who will justify having a practical arsenal in their homes, they'll say that, well, we have to protect ourselves from the tyranny of the government, yet at the same time, they put the military on a pedestal. Now, once again, I just want to remind everybody that I'm a former officer in the Air Force, okay? So the contradiction here is when they talk about protecting themselves from the tyranny of the government. One, they don't really mean the tyranny of the government. They mean the government overstepping what they believe the government should do. So if the government were to observe that, let's say, implementing certain laws restricting the ownership of firearms, just for like legit public safety, they would reject that tyranny. If the government wanted to provide social welfare to certain individuals, they would speak out against that. As long as those individuals, well, if those individuals don't look like them. Yet, at the same time, they'll talk about the virtue of the military. You know, people who serve in the military are so great and should be put on a pedestal. Well, those people who serve in the military who look like them, who express their sexual and gender orientation like they do, or at least within what they consider acceptable. But the biggest contradiction is, I don't even know if the word is contradiction, but the thing that they seem to miss, and this is where the difference between people on the left and people on the right, because people on the left understand this. People on the right, not the far, far, far extremist right, like militia right, but people on the, what I would say maybe what you consider MAGA right, seem to forget that when the government does its tyranny, it's going to be done at the hands of the military.